Hi, my name is Koi, and I want to share my story and the wisdom God gave me with you. I am currently 23 years old. I created this channel with a nudge from my mom and Jesus Christ Himself. My mom said, "You're very good at applying God's word. Maybe you should create YouTube instead of writing letters to everyone and see how it goes." In my head, I rejected it, but Jesus, who roams around the world in spirit, came to me and said, "Who you?" to get me to rethink my decision. Here, I will share my testimony, lessons I have learned, experiences from my walk with God, and the wisdom He has given me along the way. I hope these stories encourage you, strengthen your faith, and help you grow closer to God. Thank you for being here. So, what does this have to do with my porn addiction? One day, I saw the location pin pop briefly next to where the phone battery icon was on my phone before disappearing as I was watching porn late at night. So I started fearing that my phone was hacked, but I didn't stop watching. Then I started noticing that every time I watched porn the night before, I would get at least one scam call during the day. One day I picked up and a young man with what I believe was an Indian accent picked up and said, "Am I speaking to Karina?" I said no and hung up. I thought that would end it if they knew that they got the wrong number since I didn't give them my actual name. However, since I was still watching porn often, it got to the point where I started to notice that they would call at the same time, 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. They didn't call when I didn't watch porn though, so I knew I was in deep in trouble. I started feeling like I was being watched. I started feeling like the porn websites was tracking me. I started having fear that I would become human trafficked and I would have. So now, not only was I afraid to go to sleep because of demonic dreams, I was afraid to leave my house. However, I was addicted to porn at this point. So, as an alternative, I started using GIFs. At first, I thought they were safe, but then I started getting the phone calls again. So, I switched to sex position drawings I found on Google Images. Through good through Google Images, I've also found a sex position website which I used to masturbate while using my imagination. Through Google Images, I also discovered porn comics. I would circulate the same ones because I couldn't find many. However, I saw that the porn comic websites were also unsafe since porn sites were administered to them. I also remember trying to find 18 plus videos like sex scenes and thirst traps on YouTube, but I couldn't get sexual pleasure from them. I also tried finding lustful Wattpad stories on YouTube, but I couldn't find any that enticed me, so I gave up on them. I also remember trying to use hentai anime, but in my hurriedness to enjoy sexual pleasure, I couldn't find many. When I did find one, I would skip reading the description, skip through the episodes to see if it had any sex scenes. And if it had a sex scene, I would go back to see the dialogue and what led up to that scene so I could enjoy the pleasure as well. If the conversation or scenes were not interesting, I would get annoyed and skip. Without many anime resources to use as pornography, I started using erotic movies on pirated websites. Since I was circulating the same movies on the same site, I felt like I was being tracked again, so I left them alone. After leaving the exotic movies alone, I switched to sexual art to entice me. I thought people appreciate the human body and they like to draw them naked. So I went to an art site, searched sex art, which brought another wave of pornography to use. Eventually, the art website didn't have a lot, so I would try to use my imagination while looking at the artwork I got pleasure from before. However, my imagination and the art could not give me a sexual high, so I started forcing myself to just feel aroused just to feel the rush. One thing about porn is like it's like a drug. Once you get a rush from one content, it won't give you the same excitement when you come back to it. So you have to keep consuming as many episodes, as many videos, GIFs, comics, anime, movies, images, or art until you find the one that makes you feel sexually pleased. Sometimes when you watch a porn video, I would rush, skip, and by the time I find the right scene or video, 3 or 4 hours have gone by. It was the same with GIFs. porn comics, erotic movies on pirated websites, and art. If I couldn't find the right porn video, GIF, comic, anime, movie, or art to get the rush from sexual pleasure, I would use my imagination. If my imagination wasn't working, I would force myself to masturbate to give me a sexual high. So I was truly porn addicted. No, if you're using Instagram pictures, reels, or shorts or real people, you're using it as a pornographic material and are still in the wrong. You're still consuming porn. This goes for OnlyFans as well. You're just using a different source, just like how there are different sources for smoking addiction, like cigarettes, cigars, pipe, hookah, weed, and vape. As I was sitting from spring 2022 to around fall 2023, I remember seeing a peculiar Cartoon Network commercial. I would see it during the day, especially when I played Bob's Burgers on TV in the morning hours. The commercial depicted a boy running to peer through a neighbor's window to watch a couple have sex. As he was about to put his hands in his pants to masturbate, a demonic hand just took him by his left foot and threw him in a large bucket. And the demonic hand fisted him and blood spilled. It would show up every time I let Bob's Burgers episodes run in the background while I watched porn and masturbated in the living room. God was warning me. Another thing that happened was that I started sleeping in the living room during the day. I wasn't getting enough sleep at night, so I had to get some sleep during the day. However, I wouldn't sleep in my bed. I developed a fear of sleeping in my bed because I was worried a human trafficker would enter without me hearing and I would get raped in my bed as I get human trafficked. I thought by sleeping closer to the exit, which was in the living room door and the fire exit window in our kitchen, I would be able to fight off a human trafficker if they infiltrated my house and or be able to escape. I thought I would have no way of escape if they found me in my bedroom. So I didn't feel comfortable sleeping in my bed during the day. One day as I was sleeping on the couch, I felt a nail pinch my Achilles heel since my right foot was exposed. It was so painful that it woke me up. I was like, that pain felt too realistic. I looked at my leg and saw a light bruise on my leg and wondered if that had always been there. I decided to watch it for a week, but I didn't monitor as I said I would. I looked at it one time, but some time had passed for me to notice any changes. However, I kept wondering if the nail that touched me was real. The final and last time that I stopped watching porn was when I went to sleep on the living room couch since I didn't get any sleep at all. I started I had stayed up all night because I was scared of getting choked in my sleep. So I had to sleep. I couldn't stay up. It was day and the sun was shining brightly. It looked like a good day. Through this experience, I started loving being in the living room where the sun was most prevalent, even though I was sinning day in and day out. Before I went to sleep, I remembered that I did try to masturbate and use my imagination to get sexual arousement, but it was taking a long time, so I went to sleep. As I slept, I felt my heart being squeezed by this huge hand with nails. The nails weren't touching my heart, but I knew it had long nails. It was the same demon that pinched my Achilles heel. I woke up gasping for air and wondered if I had just had my first heart attack. I questioned, should I call 911? Then I thought maybe it's because I'm not getting enough sleep. So I went back to sleep and my heart was squeezed again. I remember trying to wiggling in my sleep to make it stop, but the hand didn't let go. When they finally let go, I woke up annoyed. I was sleepy, tired, but I couldn't prevent the demon from attacking. Whiningly, I said, what do you want me to do? I can't stop thinking about porn or about masturbating. I was talking to God. From Preston's video about his demonic dream, I definitely had the idea that God could save me, but I never considered it. So I went back to sleep the third time, thinking, if I die, I die. I can't do anything about it. I'm tired. This time, the demon squeezed my heart for a little bit more time than the last two times that my body jolted. Before, it was pain and suffocation. This time, my heart skipped a beat. That moment, I woke up crying, anguished, and apologetic. I prayed the Lord's Prayer, Our Father. I asked Jesus to save me. I asked God for protection. I asked God for forgiveness. I asked for good sleep, and when I went to sleep, I got what felt like 8 hours of sleep within 3 hours. God woke me up just when I needed to pick up my little brother from school. I felt rejuvenated and so refreshed. I hadn't slept like that in months. That was the day that I learned that God was real. Through my addiction, I felt like I understood the people who were suffering from drugs, smoke, alcohol, food, shopping, or any kind of addiction since they share a similar of cycle of wanting and not wanting and feeling like they can overcome it. Yes, they got themselves there, but they can't get themselves out. Only Jesus can get them out. People can't fight demons or unlock the chains of Satan. My message to the people who are addicted: if people blame you for your suffering, that is Satan using people to make you feel bad so you can commit suicide. He will make you feel ashamed by blaming you for being addicted, even though he is the one who's keeping you addicted. His goal is to steal, kill, and destroy people, so he wants you to destroy your spirit, but by making you feel like you can't overcome your addiction and make you commit suicide by making you feel ashamed of being addicted. In John 10, verses 10, Jesus said, "The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. So don't commit suicide and ask Jesus to save you from Satan." After being saved, I was still tempted, but with God, I was able to resist some of the temptation of the devil. Whenever porn images or scenes came to mind, I would reject it and it wouldn't bother me as before. Before being saved, I would try to reject it, but the thoughts wouldn't go away. This time it did. God helped me. However, overcoming sexual pleasure took another step. I remember one day trying to find out if masturbation was sinful in the Bible. I thought, if it's lustful to imagine people or cartoons doing it, if I just focus on the feeling, then I won't be sinning. So I decided to masturbate, but I felt guilty about it after. I was like, how am I going to face God when I pray? Then I started feeling compulsive. I wanted to know if it was sin or not. I wanted to know if it was sin or not so I can validate myself to God that I didn't sin. When I searched online, people pointed to Onan spilling semen on the ground to show that masturbation was sinful. No, Onan is the son of Judah, and Judah is the son of Jacob, and Jacob is the son of Isaac. So I read Genesis 38 and paid attention to verse 9 to 10 to confirm. In case you look up the story, the Bible version I read is New Living Translation. If you read a different Bible version, the story is going to be rephrased differently. After reading the story, I concluded that the Lord took his life because he didn't do right by his dead brother. This is not a good reason to prove that masturbation is sin, but I felt conflicted. I kept wondering, is it sin or is it not sin? I went back to and forth with it for several days, wondering if it was right or wrong. I remember even asking God about it for truth, but no answer. Then one day, as I was lying down on my back, looking up at the ceiling and wondering if I should masturbate, I had the desire to masturbate, but I still wanted to be faithful also. So in my thoughts, I asked out plainly, is masturbation truly a sin? Then Jesus said, "Stop itching an itch that will never stop itching." I couldn't see him, but I knew he was hovering slightly to the right of me. I knew he was looking down on me, angry and anguished when he said that. So I stopped. You might ask, how did Jesus speak to you? He hasn't returned yet. I was speaking to the Spirit of Jesus, the one who appeared to Thomas and the disciples in John 20. This proves that the Holy Spirit resides in us and Jesus can appear to us in spirit. So I was speaking to Jesus who comes in spirit. Also, Paul and Silas, apostles of Jesus, revealed that they spoke to the Spirit of Jesus in Acts 16 to 7. Back to my story. Even though God saved me on November 11, 2025, I remember that on November 11, 2025, I remembered that I almost sinned in August 2024 when I went on a cruise. One day on the trip, I was feeling bored, idle again, so I decided to watch Bob's Burgers and eat two burgers. I left the TV let the TV play Cartoon Network before getting my burgers. I remember when I entered my cabin with my burgers, I saw the Cartoon Network commercial that I used to pop up whenever I played Bob's Burgers on TV in the morning. When I saw the commercial, I wondered, does it appear if you watch Adult Swim shows only? So I was warned that the devil was in my cabin. After eating, I remember thinking, maybe I should masturbate. The Bible doesn't say it is wrong, and Onan was killed because he was doing Tamar wrong. Satan implanted that in my mind. So at that moment, I decided it wasn't so bad to sin. Then, as I was about to send, the Cartoon Network commercial from before came on, and I remembered the demons and the demonic nightmares I used to have. And I said, nope. That was when I decided to quit for good. So yeah, that's how I came to realize God is 100% real and overcome porn addiction. If you're struggling with porn addiction or any other addiction, my encouragement to you is this: don't give up. Call on Jesus and ask Him for help. Thank you for watching and listening to my story. Leave a like and share this video with anyone you know. Subscribe and look forward to more videos about God, about my journey with God, about the wisdom He gave me, about the wisdom I've learned from the Bible, and hopefully it makes an impact into your life and leads you to God. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.